situation. And many years ago, my eldest daughter's godmother had a son, a little guy that I've known since he was that age. So he grew up and he went off to college and went on to law school. And he started doing a lot of publishings and stuff like you do. And so he was at the University of Michigan Law School. Then Columbia University said, if you come at Columbia, we'll give you an $800,000 house and we'll pay your mortgage for 10 years in the plush New York area. So he went to New York and he stayed there for X number of years. And 2 years ago, New York University said, if you come to our law school, we'll give you the penthouse on the 14th floor, and the law school class will be across the street from where you live in the village. All paid for, 3-bedroom. We'll do any remodel that you want. And so my wife and I have been friends with this little guy. He is around 50 years old now. So my wife and I decided to go up and spend some time with he and his wife a couple of months ago. 14th floor penthouse, and his office is across the street. The law school is only across the street. He's been on 14th floor, very top there. Everything is paid for, and they got maids who do this, and everything is paid for. And so it's his street, and he's making more money than anybody else there. And I keep saying is that when you think about the body of your scholarly work, it is when the economic crisis is at its worst that these institutions with a lot of money come knocking, and they are offering some unimaginable lucrative deals to those who have the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. So I'll say all that to say this very simply is that young professionals like you and some others is that even though you're at Nova and it does not require, take the initiative to begin to develop, even if it's at your own time, your own expense, begin to develop some body of scholarly work in your field. In your field, not the minority, periphery kind of stuff, or women kind of stuff that the old white men are going to say, well, you know, looks good, but it's not what we require. It doesn't meet our standards. I'm talking about the good stuff that relates to your field, that can stand the test in terms of the field of profession. That when these times are like this, and you feel stuck, you put your stuff out there and you can demand top dollar.
And you're right. That the article also talks about that. It said the people who are looking for good people, they already recognize that some of these public universities and colleges are losing some of their best people, and they're now at a level where they can sift through to see who they are, offer them these deals, and then they get them there. So, I mean, you know, it starts to shed the light on a lot of things.
If you look at every state in the United States, if they have a shortage of state revenues, they're mandated by law to have a balanced budget at the end of this year, mandated. So they cut people and they cut programs because they have to meet that law requirement. So these private institutions that have money, what they do is they continue the money and they pick and choose the best of those top star professors, and they bring them on board. And that elevates the status, the image, the reputation, and grant money to that institution.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that is the way it works. So when the economic crisis is at its worst, that is when they begin to raid those institutions.
But you know, the economic crisis, I mean, we just got a $4.9 million grant, right?
Yep.
So, you know, I mean, it's every...
Yes.
The money is there.
Yeah, and the other part now, Shelley, is that even if you like, even if you have a body of work and you have no interest in moving on, but if you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired of stuff, you have options. If you have what we're talking about here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, excellent, excellent. Any others?
This place is seductive to assistant professors.
Yes.
It's so comfortable and nice, and the pressures are relatively few and in the distance that the young professors that have been hired in the last 4 or 5 years run the risk of being, like I said, seduced into a lifestyle that they'll never be able to be that flexible professional that they should be. And I don't know if there's enough people telling the young hires that we have around, young, not an age necessarily, but that is the coin of the realm of publication. And I'm glad to hear that Wayne is saying some of those things to people, because in the long run it helps you as much as, not more than the organization, helps that person. I'm kind of looking back. I mean, I remember the stuff that those gray-haired men said to me back when I was a young punk, and I didn't like it for it, but I look back and I say, we don't think you have any ideas, Simonson. You've never written anything.
Well, that is
Wow, they didn't know you very well.
That is the other part of what has encouraged me over the years to continue to do some research and writing. You read all these great books written by great people, and I reached a point and said, well, I have some things to say too. I'm tired of quoting them.
Right.
I'm a professional. I'm an expert. I have a voice. So I have to step out there and put my voice in writing in a book, in a journal, what have you too. It was just a part of my wanting to be a part of that conversation. Not just a user of those guys and gals who were all of that.
I think if we brought it, this is really, really great. And then I think about how do we bring this back to Fischler. Let's keep thinking along that line, what we want to be as an individual and as a professional. But also, how could what we have, the resources that we have and who we are, be of benefit to Fischler? And I'm thinking again, I guess because all of this is just so fresh on my brain from this morning, there was also indication of something else, research, as in terms of a body like ARC, because somebody asked the question, well, does this take the place of ARC or what? Do you remember that, what I'm talking about? It's another, and it has to do with research.
Research center.
An institute, a research center?
Yeah, something along that line. There was no real description.
Research center.
Okay.
Someone asked if that
was going to take the place of ARC. But, and they said no, the answer was no, but yet it leaves you with the next question, well then how does that fit in the scheme of things? So we were really concentrating on, go ahead, Mickey.
Well, the distinction would be ARC is to support students. The research center is to support faculty and staff.
Okay.
So it's that would be where they are separate.
And if you think there's tough jobs in the world, I ran a research institute for 8 years that supported faculty, supported grants. That's a tough job.
It is a tough job.
Michael, maybe you're going to be executive director, or you.
I've served my time in hell as the Marine Corps.
But now, see, that wasn't clear, and a little novice like me, I didn't know, I couldn't see, and whoever asked the question didn't either. If those things were existing side by side, faculty, students, and at some place there would be some collaboration, I would think.
Well, no, they didn't discuss the role of that entity.
Gosh, you know how fat that could be, as the kids would say. I know that's passe now.
I think it's a great idea, and it's about time we had something like that.
But I think the other thing is, and this is what I kind of get passionate about, these really super ideas are on the table, but you don't hear any more.
Yeah, what happens after the idea is brought to the table?
Well, and you're on the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Think about us. So by the time it trickles down.
We're not going to not have that discussion. session today. But apparently, and I'll bring some closure to this. Again,
Well said, Mick.
I thank you for being here, because those of you who are here, you're passionate about this area, obviously, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you letting me share with you the opportunity to either yourself utilize this resource or share it with your people that you're coming in contact with, your students or your colleagues or somebody else, to utilize it yourself. I mean, for whatever reason, until you get to the Harvard level, okay? At least these will be stepping stones until you get in the Harvard Review or what have you.
We all run out and buy our copy of U.S. News and World Report, which is out with the rankings. Oh, did you hear that?
Oh, they're out.
Now you know the University of Miami made
It's
the
top
list,
in Florida, yeah.
so we probably don't want to buy that.
And let's
Well, what's
keep...
the difference between the University of Miami and Nova Southeastern that you could document?
They made the ranking, we did.
Well, they do research.
I was teasing because they said FIU and Nova are part of the second tier.
It's also the way they enroll students. I mean, there are a lot of issues.
So I think it's incumbent upon us as forward thinkers or what have you to keep that thinking going and not to get stymied. And I know, the people who are in here, I'm speaking to the choir, but to keep going. But I think the other thing is to affect change where you can, with bringing somebody else along and the whole 9 yards and sharing. And we'll continue to do this, whether it's one or two, whatever the business is. Yes.
It's really interesting because Brian and I were talking about this the other night, that if we could put together, maybe not we, but you guys, put together like a best of the roundtables, because, and then maybe somehow put it together, even if it went on YouTube, or some way to get that information in front of everybody that works here, because a lot of people see the Scholars Roundtable. So many people have never been here, and they don't know that it's a great forum.
Yeah.
And that, and I agree with Mike. I love coming to these because I like to hear what other people are thinking, what's going on, and I think that if other folks knew what this was all about, they would really come to these meetings or these sessions. So I think,
and this is not just because Brian's your husband, but I think the ideas work, and this is the only thing that seems like it's trying to go forward in forward thinking here,
Yeah, and he should probably do the same thing, a best of.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so,
we did.
Sir, we're done now. We're just sort of, yes, thank you very much.
In August, now we did